Aloha mai kākou, a Kamomata Curtain Call, a program of reviews, previews, interviews, and features of and or with the great art and artists on Maui and beyond. I'm Paul James Brown. Maui is such an amazing place. Its beauty, its climate, and the level of artistic talent here on this 769 square mile island in the most remote place on the planet is astonishing. Last Saturday was one of those days when there are not enough hours. It started out with a fabulous lunch with internationally renowned sculptor Dale Zarella at his studio on the Maui Tropical Plantation. He told me about a new process for his work using lasers and crystals, and I wanted to see the work. Mr. Zarella had heard about the use of lasers to take a picture, and with a laser, they can laser the image of the picture to a crystal in 2D. So Mr. Zarella got thinking and asked them if they were provided with a 3D scan of a sculpture, if they could then, with a laser, create a 3D image inside this crystal, and he found out they can. For his inaugural dive into this new media, he chose the work His Holiness Pope Francis proclaimed as soon as he laid eyes on it as the Resurrection. It is a magnificent work that portrays the magic, mystery, and dignity of the work while giving the viewer an image that could not be achieved in any other way. So, this is really a new art form. Mr. Zarella talked about his mentor, the late Frederick Hart, who developed a process using lucite where he could create images of his sculptures inside of clear lucite. Quote, "I know that this process would have just blown his mind to put a ghostly image of a sculpture inside of a crystal," unquote, said Mr. Zarella. Mr. Zarella continued, quote, "What fascinates me most is painting, sculpture, photography is all a study of light. So when you can start even playing with the light in the sculptures, there's just endless possibilities," unquote. Because of the various sizes of crystals, the possibilities to pursue this new art form are limitless. I look forward to seeing what Mr. Zarella comes up with in the future. Then, after that show, I went over to Wailuku Union Church, where Damira Feldman's annual Maui Outstanding Piano Amateurs concert live with people in the audience. It was such a thrill. The concert bill listed 7 performers, but one had an accident and had to pull out, and the other felt unprepared to appear in front of an audience. The 5 who did play were accomplished. All played their programs from memory and highly entertaining. Rachel Young opened the program and then performed again later on. She played 5 selections from Bach's 12 Little Preludes. Then she returned to play 2 of Alberto Albeni's pieces, Granada from Suite Espagnole, Opus 47, and then Prelude from Cantos de España, Opus 232. Ms. Young plays with intelligence, understanding, and an emotional connection to the works. I thought her organization of the Bach works was perfect. Her explanation of the 2 Albeni's works demonstrate maturity and confidence, imbuing the music with an emotional truth that provides the listener with major dramatic moments while bringing a placidity to her playing that belied the dynamics that she played. Christophe Javon has a PhD from the University of Pierre and Marie Curie in France, but he has chosen to pursue teaching piano and meditation. His first piece was a prelude on 2 Little Preludes by Bach and Mr. Javon. Then he performed 2 songs by Sergei Rachmaninoff. They answered, and I'm No Prophet. The prelude was a superb nocturne-esque work that grew from the master's own preludes. The final Rachmaninoff work, I'm No Prophet, was a fortissimo declaratory statement that shouted the phrase. Next up was Ciza Swanson, who was born in Burundi, Africa, during the Civil War and lost both of his parents. He went to an orphanage. In the program, he recalled his first encounter with a piano was during a bombing raid. While he was lying in bed frightened and unable to speak because he was certain he was facing death, he noticed a small toy piano with colorful keys on the floor by his bed. Desperate to calm his nerves, he picked up the toy, hid under his covers, and experimented with different melodies until he fell asleep. When he was 9, he was adopted and emigrated to California. As a teenager, he would participate in his father's church's band by playing piano, drums, and bass. He performed 4 original compositions. His take on Beethoven's Für Elise was brilliant. His playing was big, bright, and full of flourishes, without Liberaceing it, if you know what I mean. His other 3 compositions, entitled Composition 4, 7, and 11, were thrilling. These were the first live performances of these works, and one hopes not the last. Mr. Swanson's compositional skills are a perfect match for his piano playing. These are big, bold pieces that showcase his technique. These 3 compositions leave us wanting more from this outstanding young performer. He will be serving in the Peace Corps soon to teach a health course to children in Moldova. One hopes he will continue to compose and play. This young man has something very special. Here is a taste of his playing. First, a little For Elise. Then a little from each of his compositions 4, 7, and 11. Daniel Hsu, a contemporary COVID refugee from Silicon Valley who is working remotely here, played piano as a child for 10 years, then recently picked it up as a quarantine activity after a very long hiatus. His program was different from the others in that it featured cinematic music as well. Devenir, a work by Ludovico Einaudi, and Havana by Camila Cabello, arranged by Peter Bucca. Mr. Hsu has the training and technique, however his program was not up to the level of Mr. Swanson's. Haru Haru had a galloping counterpoint, and I found the Einaudi most relaxing. In fact, I actually nodded out a couple of times. Having been in Havana last year, I was excited to hear this work, but it did not sound anything like the Havana I experienced. It was grandiose and the most accomplished work of Mr. Hsu's program. However, it didn't capture the delicate nature of the town, nor did it sound like Cuban music. The last performer was Niko Nametoʻs. She performed Prelude from the English Suite No. 4 in F major by Bach. Then she came back with Schumann's Intermezzo, and she finished with Mozart's marvelous and crowd-pleasing 12 variations on A vous darai je mama, or better known as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Ms. Nametoʻs delights in her playing and frequently smiled during her program. The Schumann featured a rapid right hand, overall very well done, and she closed with those 12 variations that caused the audience to smile along with her. Kudos to Ms. Feldman for putting together a thoroughly entertaining and outstanding program. I look forward to her next effort. She consistently presents excellent musicians who provide outstanding performing arts experiences. Mahalo nui loa. Well, that's Curtain Call for this week. Mahalo nui loa for tuning into Curtain Call. I'm Paul James Brown. Ahui ho.